Hi, I'm Chris Ranwell, Product Manager with GE Sensing. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Protimeter line of moisture meters and hygrometers. Let's look at the Protimeter Surveymaster. We have the instrument inside the package together with a remote pin probe and some 5-inch long deep wall probes. These are insulated for measuring a depth in walls. We'll look at those in a second. Let's take a closer look at the Protimeter Surveymaster. First thing you notice, this is a small, easy to use meter with high functionality. It's made out of an impact resistant polycarbonate, and here on the side you'll see a rubberized hand grip. So let's just take a closer look at the functions. The first thing we'll look at is the pin mode. So when I turn it on, you'll see that there's a green light here, and when we make contact across the pins, replicating what you would do when you push the pins into material, you'll see the green, yellow and red lights. You'll also see a numeric value here. Now on the pin mode, you can also use accessories. So there's a jack plug here, and it comes with the deep wall probes, as I mentioned before, and also the probe for getting into hard to reach areas. But you can also plug in a range of other Protimeter accessories like hammer electrodes, for instance, to go into hardwood floors and softwoods. So that's the pin mode. Now let's just change functions simply by pressing this lower button here. Now we go to our non-invasive function, because remember this is a moisture meter that has both pins and non-invasive or non-penetrating mode. So you see this bump here on the back. When you apply this to a material, it'll measure down to about 17 to 19 millimeters, or about 3/4 of an inch below the surface. Now it'll actually measure an average across its depth of measurement as opposed to just surface moisture. So that's the Protimeter Surveymaster. Let's look at how we use the Protimeter Surveymaster. Remember, this is a dual function pin and no pin meter. With the Surveymaster, our recommendation is to use the search mode or non-invasive mode first. This penetrates below the surface to about 15 to 19 millimeters, or 3/4 of an inch. Actually takes an average across its depth of measurement rather than just give you a full reading with moisture on the surface, like if you had a thin film of condensation on the surface. And I'll show you how to use that to do some diagnosis in a second. So with non-invasively, we simply turn it on, check that we're in non-invasive mode by putting our hand on the back. You'll see the reading here on the LCD and the LED lights, green, yellow and red, indicating safe, at risk and wet. Let's go to a wall surface now, and you would just use it by putting the back of the meter on the wall, tipping it up until the cap hits. We move the meter around like this, as opposed to dragging it. Dragging it potentially can harm the material, make a mark on the material, and in fact eventually wear out the back of the meter. So just move it around in this way. Now there's an audible alarm on here as well, so if you hit anything in the red zone or wet zone, it'll go off. The other thing to watch out for is that it can give you a false positive if you hit metal. So if you go to like a corner beading on some drywall or potentially some electrical wiring, it can give you an elevated reading. So just beware of that. Once you've found high levels of moisture, then it's a good idea to just switch to pin mode and take a measurement with the pins. Don't need to push the pins in deep to the material, just good firm contact at the surface. You should barely leave a mark. Now you can use both these modes to do some form of diagnostics. So if you were to get a high reading with the pins and a low reading with the radio frequency, it would indicate the moisture is only on the surface. Whereas a high reading with the pins and a high reading on the non-invasive radio frequency mode would indicate that the material is soaked throughout. Now the other useful thing about the Surveymaster is that you can look for moisture below floor and wall coverings, so ceramic tiles or vinyl floors. We've got a vinyl floor here. We're going to be on our non-invasive mode here, and this allows us to quickly scan an area of vinyl tile. Of course, it doesn't look like there's any moisture on the surface here, but quite easily there could be moisture below the surface in the subfloor. So again, we just move the meter from area to area looking for high areas of moisture content.